What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're getting into my 2023 Big Ten Conference Tournament predictions. But before we dive into this, just want to let you guys know, yesterday I came out with my Pac-12, Mountain West, Big East, ACC, SEC, Big 12, all the big conferences yesterday. This is like the final one. Also, the American I'm going to be making later today. But Big Ten season just finished yesterday, so that's why I'm coming out with it today. And yeah. Also, if you want to check out all my other conference predictions that I made over the year, over the week, you can check those out. I'm also going to be coming out with some more today and tomorrow. And tomorrow will be my last day of coming out with these. But anyway, let's look at this bracket here. Starting out with the top overall seed, we had Purdue finishing 15-5. Right now, Purdue obviously looking to be a top team in the NCAA tournament. This could help them in this tournament. Number 2 seed, we had Northwestern finishing. We had a two-way tiebreaker, by the way, between number 2 seed Northwestern and 3 seed Indiana, both finishing 12-8 in conference play right there. Both teams pretty locked up in the tournament at this point, as well as number 4 seed Michigan State, finishing 11-8 in conference play. I think they had a game less than all the other teams, as well as Minnesota, because of the school's shooting situation in Michigan State. Obviously, they had to take the right precautions for that, as they should. So Michigan State kind of benefits from that to be 11-8 instead of, they got a double bye. So that's big for Michigan State. But then number 5, we had a tie for 5 between 3 teams here, with number 5 seed Iowa pretty locked up in the tournament right now. Number 6 seed Maryland also pretty locked up. And then number 8 seed Michigan all finished 11-9 in conference play. But Michigan, this is a team that needs to go on a run in this tournament here. They're in Lombardi's latest bracketology, they're in the next 4 out. They just lost to yesterday, I believe it was, to Indiana. Could have been a huge win for Michigan, but they came up short in overtime. So that's a really big loss for them. They probably need to beat Purdue in the next round if they want any hope of making the tournament. And Rutgers. Rutgers is not an easy task either. As they are number 9, we have a tie between Rutgers and Penn State, both finishing 10-10 in conference play. Rutgers has really been faltering as of late. I think that they would be safe. They could beat Michigan, but if they lose bad to Michigan, the way they've been playing lately, they could be in a bad spot. And then number 10, Penn State, finishing 10-10 in conference play. Right now, Penn State getting a huge win yesterday against Maryland. I would say if Penn State could beat Illinois, they would be ultimately safe, locked up in the tournament. If they lose to Illinois, I could see them potentially falling out with some bid thieves. But right now, Penn State's sitting pretty good in the tournament picture. At least be competitive against Illinois, I would say. All right, so that is the first round buys. We go to this basically the playing games. This is basically like the true first round here. But anyway, number 11 seed Nebraska, really having a good year for their standards. They finished 9-11 in conference play, as well as tied up with Wisconsin. But Nebraska probably would need to go on a huge run. Maybe if they beat Maryland and Indiana and Minnesota, of course, it goes to the semifinals. Maybe they'll be a bubble team at that point. I'm not sure where they're listed right now, but obviously, this has been a W season for Nebraska either way. They needed this type of a season after not being the best program over the years. But yeah, as I mentioned, Wisconsin's tied up with Nebraska here, sitting at 9-11. Wisconsin right now is like in the last 4 in. They've had so many close games here. Just barely beat Minnesota last night. That's not going to be enough, though. They probably, if they want to make the tournament, they probably are going to have to beat Ohio State. And to be ultimately safe, probably upset Iowa in the next round. But then we get to number 13, Ohio State, who just really had a downpour of a ending to the year. Had lost like 9 straight or something like that, something crazy like that. They were looking good earlier on in the year, but they finished 5-15 in conference play. They're going to need to go definitely win the Big Ten tournament to make it, as well as number 14 seed Minnesota. Basically, these 2 teams are the only teams that probably would have to win the entire thing to have any hope of making the NCAA tournament. But anyway, with all that, let's look at the predictions here. Starting out with the number 12 seed Wisconsin versus number 13 Ohio State. Ohio State's played a lot of close games. Wisconsin, obviously, the Wisconsin has lived and died by close games. They've played like the most in the country here. I mean, you just look at their differential for Wisconsin. It is, I'm not sure, but it is very close. Could I see an upset pick here with Ohio State? You know, I'm gonna actually do it. I'm gonna go with Ohio State beating Wisconsin. No disrespect to Wisconsin, they're a solid team at 12, but Ohio State they were struggling, but they're a good team for a 13 seed in a conference. I think that they could beat Wisconsin and advance with an upset pick. And then Wisconsin now, that's going to be a huge blow to their tournament chances. All right, but then we got 11 seed Nebraska versus 14 seed Minnesota. Yeah, I'm going to go with Nebraska here. I don't think that they lose to Minnesota. Nebraska's just, in my opinion, the better team. So I'm going to go with them to advance on to play Maryland in the next round. All right, so here in the second round, Michigan versus Rutgers, a huge matchup for both of these teams. Both these teams obviously are going to be fighting their hardest to win this one. Michigan, really, I mean, Michigan's had two really tough losses in a row in overtime. They've had 3 overtime games in a row with Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. This would be huge for them to beat Rutgers. As I mentioned, Rutgers has been kind of faltering as of late. I'm not a big fan of Rutgers right now. They're struggling. They blew like a 10-point lead in Minnesota a few games ago. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Rutgers. I'm going to go with Michigan to pull off the win. They know that they need to win this game and probably beat Purdue as well. So I'm going to go with Michigan. All right, so we got a 5 seed versus a 13 seed here between Iowa and Ohio State. If you look at Iowa, the Hawkeyes, they've been a really good team, a very high-scoring team. If they're on, this team is really hard to stop. And yeah, I do like Iowa a lot as a program. I don't think that they lose to Ohio State. I'm going with the Hawkeyes to advance on. And then we got Illinois versus Penn State, probably the best matchup. Well, I mean, besides Maryland and Rutgers is a really good matchup, but this I think is a very tough matchup here between Illinois and Ohio State. Two really solid teams here. Penn State, or sorry, I said Ohio State earlier, Penn State. But Illinois, a really good team. Penn State also obviously a really good team, playing well. They've won 2 straight. It's a really good team. 2 crazy wins, 2 buzzer beater or like game-winning shot wins for Penn State. Illinois was battling back last night against Purdue, down by 20-something, and they nearly won against Purdue, just came up short. But yeah, obviously this is a 2 really good teams here. They're going to need a win. But I'm going to go with Illinois, though. I just think that they're the better team there in that game, and I think that they're going to have enough firepower to beat Penn State. So I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini. Moving on, we got Maryland versus Nebraska. I do think that Nebraska could win this game, getting an easy one against Minnesota out of the way. I think a first game, a planned game, basically can help them out. But I really do like Maryland a lot. I don't see it happening. Maryland, I know they just blew a 10-point lead. But if you've been watching my bracketologies and stuff over the year, Maryland's been one of my favorite teams. I'm going to go with them to beat Nebraska. All right, so moving on to the quarterfinals, we got Purdue versus Michigan. As I mentioned, Michigan probably needs to win this game to make the NCAA tournament against Purdue, though I don't see it happening. The Boilermakers on a neutral floor here, I think that the Boilermakers are clearly the better team and will be able to beat Michigan. It could be a close game, though. Probably will be. The Big Ten, just everyone plays each other close, but I think that Purdue is going to win. And then Michigan State versus Iowa, really good matchup between a 4 seed and a 5 seed. Right now, Michigan State's projected to be a 6 seed. 6 seed, and Iowa's projected to be a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. So this could be a huge game to change those favors for these two teams. Iowa just came off a tough loss yesterday to Nebraska. Michigan State. I mean, if Iowa can win this one, this would be huge for the resume. As well as Michigan State. We obviously had this matchup a few games ago where Michigan State won by I mean, Michigan State was up by like 10, and Iowa came back to win it. Like with 45 seconds left, just hit like 5 threes in a row or something crazy like that to go into overtime and then beat Michigan State. A huge freaking win for Iowa. I'm not sure what happened early on in the year if they played, but I'm going to go with Iowa. I think a playing game earlier, or not a playing game, but an extra game against Ohio State might help the Hawkeyes here get a little bit of a rhythm going. That offense can get on fire. I think that Michigan State will struggle in that game and lose to the Hawkeyes, the former champion last year in the Big Ten, by the way. All right, so going here, we got Northwestern versus Illinois, a really good matchup between two good teams. Northwestern, obviously, it's been a very surprising season for this team. They're a really freaking good team, the Wildcats, and not a team to be trifled with in the Big Ten tournament. But like I said, Illinois is also a very good team for a 7 seed in the Big Ten. I think that they're better than, I think that I don't know, probably not better than any team above them, but still, I'm going to go with Illinois, though. Pulling off the upset pick here, I really do believe in Illinois this year. They got a really experienced roster, a good team, well-coached team as well. Northwestern, it's been an excellent year. I think that they could do some damage in the tournament, but in the Big Ten tournament, I think that Illinois can get the best of them. All right, so we got Indiana versus Maryland, two really good teams. I like both these teams a lot. Probably, I think these two teams deserve to be in the semifinals in the Big Ten, but it's just coming up short. It's just about matchups here. And Indiana, obviously a top team with Trace Jackson Davis, just dominant center for that team. The Terps, like I said, I'm a big fan of Maryland. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. I'm going with the Hoosiers to beat Maryland. All right, so in the semifinals, we got the 1 seed Purdue, 5 seed in Iowa, a 7 seed in Illinois, and a 3 seeded Indiana team. So for a spot in the Big Ten Championship, Purdue versus Iowa. Good matchup between the Boilermakers and the Hawkeyes. I believe these two met in the championship last year, and Purdue and Iowa won. So a rematch of that game. I'm going to go with Purdue, though. The Boilermakers obviously want to be a number 1 overall seed. I could see Iowa pulling off the win here if they get hot. But I don't think that Iowa's going to be able to stop Zach Edey too much. And I think that he'll dominate the paint. So I'm going to go with Purdue to advance on to the Big Ten Championship, where they will face Illinois or Indiana. Two teams that big rivalry for the Boilermakers. Two teams that have played the Boilermakers close all year. Two teams that know how to beat Purdue as well. But in Illinois, really good team, but I do like Trace Jackson Davis and the Hoosiers a bit more. I'm going with them to advance on to the championship game. So Purdue versus Indiana. Indiana has swept Purdue this year, and Purdue's only lost to 3 other teams in the Big Ten besides Indiana. It's really hard to beat a team 3 times. I just don't see it happening. I'm going with the Boilermakers to win the Big Ten championship. So congratulations to Purdue. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your Big Ten tournament predictions. Anyway, peace.